Why do you dislike the 690 Enduro so much?
How do you know that? Like, where is it? You heard about that from watching old episodes, Aaron, or do I just look like a person that hates the 690?
We should maybe have a shirt that's like 690 tiers.
Six.
Because there's like I Heart KTM tiers. Now it's I Heart 690 tiers.
It's just one of those things. It's kind of like I love Husaberg 570s.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's really strange is that motor, that KTM 690 motor, that big single, could possibly put out a very good power delivery. Man, I'm almost saying it's really good. Like, I'm comparing it to Husaberg.
Yeah.
It is. So that motor is really good. I've always liked the motor for a big 4-stroke single. It's like the XR650 you dreamed of. Like when I rode a factory XR650 motor, I wished it ran like a KTM 690.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem was it was carbureted.
Yeah.
If you could get the fuel injection on it, I'm sure you could make those things work like this. But then they take that really nice motor and then they throw it in this chassis that doesn't do anything very well. And the chassis is the limiting factor because you have a really short shock on it, and the gas tank's in a strange location out back in the rear. And if you want to put bigger tanks on them, you have to hang them off the side. There's a lot. It's just a really confused bike. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like an XR400 that I loved and hated. It's just there's certain things that, you know, they could have done. They should have just never made the 690 and just kept making Husaberg 570s. That's what they should have done. That's why I'm bitter, because Husaberg 570s are now like gone.
Yeah.
That's why, Aaron. It's because I feel like that KTM thought they could do it better than Husaberg, even though they stole everything that they know from Husaberg with 4-strokes.
Well, speaking of KTM 690s, Victor Andrade, 2016 KTM 690, riding for 30 minutes, stop for any reason, turn it off, then try to start. Just cranks and it doesn't fire. Wait 5 minutes and that starts right up. Checked air filter. It was clean. It does this all the time.
I think Chris had a really good answer in here, and it has something to do with the evaporative emissions system. And my truck does this sometimes. Like when I fill my truck all the way up tip top, I'm trying to really top the tank off.
Yeah.
And it's hot out here, and and gas boils and stuff like that. Sometimes it just cranks and cranks and cranks. It takes a long time for it to finally, because the evaporative, there's a lot of stuff going into that charcoal canister and stuff, and it could be all the way up to, it's like if you tip it over. You know when you tip a bike over and it floods?
Mm-hmm.
Like in the carbureted bikes, because the gas would spill into the intake track, and you have to hold it wide open and clean it out. I think there might be some of that, and I think that's what Chris was talking about. He said the same thing. But a lot of times, if it just just the heat, it'll kind of clean itself out, or cranking it a few times will cycle it through. But a lot of times, and it depends on the way they've designed the fuel injection system, because sometimes if you do turn it wide open, it pumps a lot more gas in there.
Mm-hmm.
But some bikes recognize, hey, he's trying to clean it out, and a lot of times that means holding it wide open to clean it out. Then it doesn't, on a startup, it doesn't spit any fuel inside of there. So Aaron, he was listening to old episodes. Thank you very much, Aaron, for
supporting us.
Supporting us, listening to old episodes.
Yeah, it's cool.
And hate is a strong word, but I hate that bike. No.
Is there ever been a bike?
What? It's Mark Kaplikoff from Baja Diaries. He really lit that fire under me. I mean, because I've always said it, and I always knew that I wasn't just never a fan of the bike in general. I rode them when they very first came out. I said, man, what a bitchin' motor. What the hell were you thinking when you built this chassis? Because it had they kind of sold it to us. They said, look, we've used the rally style trellis chassis. And I'd ridden their factory rally bikes, both twin and single cylinder. And I'm like, why? and I'm not saying, yeah, because I was a factory BMW rider, and we had something different, and like our cylinders stuck out to the side. But I never, those rally bikes, I never really liked the way that they handled. I didn't like I wasn't really sure about what they were trying to achieve there. And so anyways, they said, oh yeah, we got this trellis chassis, and I'm like, kind of like in my head, I'm going, why? And then but then I saw the length of the shock, and I know how hard it is to control like a long travel bike with a very short shock.
Mm-hmm.
Difficult, and
Right.
and then riding it confirmed sort of what I'd felt, and it was just an interesting bike. So sorry, Aaron. He's probably an owner. You need to get your KTM 690 Army to raid this show and just destroy me.
Yeah.
Just
spam
share
in the
it.
chat.
Yeah, spam the chat, and maybe you can convert me.
So there's something I want. There's something you said though. I caught on it and it made me wonder: has there ever been a bike that you've truly hated? Like there was no saving it. It was you just wrote it back to the engineers and say go back to the drawing board. And I should say like production bike.
I
remember the one.
What was it?
It was that bike that was going to be the big breakthrough bike from a big manufacturer, and it never came to pass because.
So we're talking about some bike that I rode at some point. It was a pre-production or it was prototyping.
Yeah.
Is this something I can talk about or not?
I don't know what your NDA is with them.
How long ago?
Before the 650R came out.
Before this? Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I can't talk about that.
Okay.
Not allowed to talk about that
But
because it's a big company. Yeah. That bike I didn't ride that one.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I was going to ride it, but it injured everybody else. It broke
no.
it literally broke other people. Unfortunately I was kind of involved like in that one, like kind of when the idea started festering. I was there. I kind of helped fester the idea because I had some bikes that one of the main guys like got to ride, and so one of them was an ATK 604. So this is back a while, and that had that single sided frame, which was really kind of weird.
Yeah.
And another one was the Italian Husky with the single big rounded backbone. And then the good one that I somehow think was a Husaberg that had a kind of a conventional chassis, and the suspension on the Husaberg at the time was kind of a little bit off. But somehow I think the other person that rode all these that got to make a decision later on about like the direction, I think they got confused. Like they didn't remember what they rode. sort of thing. I mean, an ATK, a Husky, and a Husaberg. Like, what's the difference? I mean, there's a lot of difference, but so yes, yeah, that bike never came around. It stopped like it came. It like they had like I think 3 different ones or something. So yeah, yes, Bob.
Well, it was the single down tube thing. The Swedes gave up on that a decade earlier.
Yeah. So there's a certain flex characteristic that comes with the single thing, and one bike would always ricochet off to one side, the other one would ricochet in a direction you had no idea which direction it was going to go, and the other one went straight and true. The suspension was just horrible, and everybody knew which the best motor was. And at that time, believe it or not, it was not the Husaberg, because the Husaberg was kind of this was a Swedish-made Husaberg, and it was a little bit still rough. Where the Husky guys, which were the Italians, that they finally polished that 510. They got that thing pretty good. I think we weren't electric start yet. We were still kicking them, but they tuned it. But man, those are. I mean, that was cool to be able to ride all that stuff back then and see. I liked it when people tried different things. I mean, I have no problem with you trying a different stuff, but. Hey, the 690 is still going, and it's been how many years, and they still sell a ton of them. So I'm wrong there. By the way, got another question there?